Please don't tell anyone. I won't. My daughter has been accepted into a college in Nairobi. Congratulations. Thank you, but we haven't told anyone yet. Nyambane, what did you tell them?
I was just sharing information.
What information?
The information that I had you and Mama Nadupoi discussing.
I told her my daughter got into college in Nairobi.
Yes.
Then why are people saying she's going to America?
I didn't say America.
You were the first person to spread it.
Maybe someone added that part.
You are the someone.
Perhaps, but you can't prove it.
On the outskirts of Nairobi, where the city slowly surrendered its concrete buildings to red earth roads, maize farms, eucalyptus trees, and scattered homesteads, there was a village called Ruay. It was not exactly deep in the countryside, but it was not quite the city either. The morning air carried a strange mixture of smells. From one side came the aroma of tea boiling over charcoal stoves. From another came the smell of fresh chapati. The Maasai walked around with their cows, sheep and goats looking for greener pastures nearby. Somewhere down the road, a woman fried Nile patch over a smoky fire, while boda riders revved their motorcycles impatiently, as if they had somewhere more important to be than everyone else. Women stood at compound boreholes exchanging stories. Men sat on a large bench placed outside the local shop called Kwa Julius, discussing politics as though the president personally called them every evening for advice. And in the middle of all this lived a man named Nyambane. Nyambane was not a farmer. He was not a shopkeeper. He was not even particularly good at any useful trade. Nyambane had a profession of his own. He was a professional gossip. At least that was what the villagers called him. Nyambane called himself an information specialist. He insisted there was a difference. There is a difference between gossiping and knowing things, he would say proudly. Unfortunately, nobody else could see the difference. If you told Nyambane, "Please don't tell anyone, but I am thinking about buying a cow," by lunchtime, half the village would know. Did you hear? Nashipai is secretly buying 3 cows from Nakuru and he has already chosen the names. If you told him, "My wife and I are planning to paint our house," by evening, did you hear? The Abduls are preparing to move because they are building a huge house. If you told him, "My son has applied for a job," by the next morning, did you hear? That boy has already been hired by a big company in Nairobi. Nyambane never seemed to understand that there was something called privacy. To him, information was like free mandazi. If it was available, why not share it? Nyambane's day usually began at 6 in the morning. He would leave his small house, put on his faded brown jacket, and begin walking through the village. He always walked slowly, very slowly, not because he was tired, because he was collecting information. He would stop at the water point. "Good morning, ladies." "Good morning. What are we discussing?" "Nothing." Nyambane would smile. "Nothing?" "Yes." "Then why did I hear someone mention a wedding?" The women would exchange glances. One of them would sigh. "It's not a wedding." "Aha!" Nyambane leaned closer. "So there is something." "No." "Who's getting married?" "Nobody." "Is it your daughter?" "No." "Your sister?" "No." "Your neighbor?" "No." Nyambane would nod thoughtfully. "Okay." Then he would walk away. The women would relax. But Nyambane would turn around after 10 steps. "One last question." They groaned. "What?" "Is the man from Kiambu?" "Nyambane." He would laugh and disappear down the road. That was how he operated. He didn't need anyone to tell him the whole story. He only needed one small piece. His imagination did the rest. One afternoon, Mama Wangari visited her neighbor Mama Nadupoi. The 2 women sat outside the house peeling potatoes. Mama Wangari leaned closer. "Please don't tell anyone." Mama Nadupoi nodded. "I won't." "My daughter has been accepted into a college in Nairobi." Mama Nadupoi smiled. "Congratulations." "Thank you, but we haven't told everyone yet." "I understand." Unfortunately, someone was standing behind a nearby hedge, Nyambane. He had been looking for his lost sandal. At least that was his excuse. He had the words, "Don't tell anyone." His ears became as sharp as a goat's. He found his sandal immediately. He went straight to the village shop. "Abdul." "What?" Have you had? Had what? Mama Wangari's daughter is leaving the village. To where? Nairobi. For what? Nyambane looked around dramatically. University. Abdul's eyes widened. Really? Very serious. Did she get a scholarship? I think so. You think? Nyambane nodded confidently. Yes. By evening, the story had become Mama Wangari's daughter had received a full scholarship to a university in America. By the next morning, someone said she was offered a job in London. Mama Wangari nearly fainted when she heard. What is wrong with these people? When she confronted Nyambane, he shrugged. I was only sharing information. What information? The information that I had you and Mama Nadupoi discussing. I told her my daughter got into college in Nairobi. Yes? So why are people saying she's going to America? Nyambane looked offended. I didn't say America. You are the first person to spread it. Nyambane scratched his head. Maybe someone added that part. Mama Wangari stared at him. Nyambane, you are the someone. He smiled. Perhaps, but you cannot prove it. She walked away, shaking her head in disbelief. The village chief was a serious man named Chief Barasa. He was respected, he was calm, he believed in solving problems peacefully. But Nyambane was slowly becoming his biggest headache. Every village meeting had at least one incident involving him. One Saturday morning, the chief stood at the edge of the village square near Kwa Julius. My people, we are gathered today to discuss the water shortage. Chief, the chief stopped. Yes, Nyambane? I already know what you are going to say. The villagers groaned. Seriously, why are you asking me that? I am trying to help. Please help by remaining quiet. The villagers laughed. Nyambane looked offended.
Later that afternoon, Chief Barasa was speaking privately with a village elder about a family dispute. He specifically told the elder, this matter must remain private. Unfortunately, Nyambane passed by. He had enough. By sunset, he had told 3 people. By the next morning, 20 people knew. By lunchtime, the story had changed completely. When Chief Barasa heard about it, he summoned Nyambane. Did you tell people about a private matter you overheard? Nyambane looked innocent. What matter? The family dispute. Oh, did you? Nyambane hesitated. I may have mentioned something small. Why? I thought people should know about it. Why? So they can be informed. Chief Barasa stared at him. Nyambane, not everything you know belongs to you. Nyambane shrugged. I understand. He clearly did not. The breaking point came during the story of the missing cow. A farmer named Kiptu had lost a cow. He was extremely worried about it. The cow was valuable to him. Kiptu went from house to house looking for it. When he reached Nyambane, he said, please, if you hear anything, let me know. Nyambane nodded. I will. The next morning, Nyambane heard that someone had seen a cow near the river. He immediately began spreading the story. Kiptu's cow has been stolen. By midday, the cow was stolen by thieves. By evening, the thieves were 4 armed men. By the following morning, they came in a white lorry. By lunchtime, the police are looking for them. By sunset, the thieves have already crossed the border with his cow. Kiptu was furious. Who told you all this? Nyambane shrugged. I have my sources. What sources? People. Which people? I cannot reveal who they are. Kiptu nearly exploded. My cow is not missing because of thieves. Then what happened? It was found. Where? Behind my cousin's farm. Nyambane looked disappointed. Oh! Kiptu stared at him. Do you know what your gossip caused? What? My mother called me crying because she thought I had been attacked. Nyambane became quiet. For the first time, the seriousness of his behavior began to sink in. But only for a moment. The next day, he was gossiping again. That was when the villagers decided enough was enough. One evening, several villagers gathered behind Kwa Julia's shop. Chief Barasa was there, Mama Nadupoi was there, Mzee Kamau was there, Abdul the shopkeeper was there, Kiptu was there,
Even Mama Wangari came. Everyone had a story about Nyambane. He told people my daughter was pregnant, said one woman. He told people I was selling my land, said another. He said I had bought a new car, said a farmer. You haven't? No. Everyone laughed. Chief Barasa raised his hand. We cannot keep fighting him. Mzee Kamau nodded. Then what do we do? Abdul smiled. I have an idea. Everyone became quiet. We give him what he wants. What? Secrets. Mama Nadupoi frowned. Real ones? No. She smiled. Fake ones? Abdul nodded. Completely ridiculous ones too. Everyone began laughing. Chief Barasa leaned forward. Tell us more. Abdul grinned. Let Nyambane spend stories that nobody could possibly believe. Mzee Kamau laughed. And when he tells the village, we all pretend to believe him. Chief Barasa smiled. Then what? Eventually, they sound so ridiculous that nobody will believe anything that comes out of his mouth. The villagers looked at each other. The plan was brilliant. And so began Operation Secret Gossip. The next morning, Mama Nadupoi approached Nyambane near the water point. She looked around nervously. Nyambane, yes, I need to tell you something. Nyambane's eyes lit up. What? But you must never tell anyone. Nyambane immediately nodded. Of course. Promise? I swear. She leaned closer. Don't tell anyone, but our chief can speak to chickens. Nyambane froze. What? Yes. How? He speaks their language. Nyambane's eyes widened. Really? Mama Nadupoi nodded seriously. I heard him last night. What did he say? I don't know. You don't know? No, I only heard him speaking. Nyambane looked fascinated. How do you know it was chicken language? I recognized the tone and I saw the chickens looking at him and nodding in agreement. Nyambane nodded. This made perfect sense to him. He looked around. Does anyone else know? Mama Nadupoi shook her head. This is just between you and I. Nyambane placed his hand on his chest. Your secret is safe with me. Mama Nadupoi walked away. She barely reached the corner before she started laughing. Nyambane waited 5 minutes. Then he went to Abdul's shop. Don't tell anyone. Abdul nodded. What? Our chief can speak to chickens. Abdul stared at him. No way, really? I heard it from a reliable source. Who? I cannot say. Abdul nodded. Of course. By lunchtime, Nyambane had told 7 people. By evening, almost everyone knew. Chief Barasa heard about it that night. The next morning, he walked into the market. Someone shouted, Chief! Yes? Which chicken is your favorite? The market exploded with laughter. Chief Barasa understood immediately. He looked at Mama Nadupoi. She smiled innocently. The next day, Nyambane went around explaining the story. You people don't understand. A farmer asked, what don't we understand? The chief has a special gift. What gift? He speaks chicken. Chicken? Yes. How? Clucking in their language. What does he say? Nyambane looked serious. He asks them about security. Someone burst out laughing. Nyambane became annoyed. Why are you laughing? The farmer wiped his eyes. Nothing, it just sounds crazy. Nyambane lowered his voice. And apparently, the chief can tell when a chicken is lying just by looking into its eyes. That was too much. Everyone started laughing. But Nyambane did not realize they were laughing at him. 2 days later, Abdul approached Nyambane. He looked nervous. Nyambane? Yes? I heard something. What? Don't tell anyone. Nyambane smiled. Of course. I heard the village is secretly worth a lot. Nyambane blinked. A lot? Extremely. How valuable? Abdul lowered his voice. Very valuable. What makes it so valuable? Gold. Where? I don't know. Who has it? Everyone. The entire village? Yes. Nyambane nodded. This was exactly the kind of information he loved. Who told you? I cannot say. Nyambane smiled. Don't worry. By afternoon, he was telling people the village is sitting on millions in gold. By evening, the village has billions in gold.
The following morning, the chief has a secret vault. By lunchtime, the village government has been hiding gold. By evening, foreign investors are coming. One old woman asked, "Where did you hear this?" Nyambane smiled. "I have my sources." She nodded. Of course. But she was smiling. Everyone knew the truth. There was no treasure. There were no billions. The village was as ordinary as a boiled potato. But Nyambane believed every word. The villagers became more creative. One afternoon, Mzee Kamau approached Nyambane. "Nyambane, yes, I have heard something very strange." "What?" "My cow speaks English." Nyambane stared. "Your cow?" "Yes." "English?" "Yes." "What does it say?" Mzee Kamau leaned closer. "It says, 'Good morning.'" Nyambane's mouth opened. "Really?" "Very clearly." "When?" "Every morning." Nyambane looked at the cow. It was standing nearby chewing grass. Nyambane waved. "Good morning." The cow continued chewing. Nyambane looked at Mzee Kamau. "Maybe it is shy." Mzee Kamau nodded. "Very shy indeed." By the evening, Nyambane had told everyone, Mzee Kamau owns a cow that speaks English. The story spread rapidly. Someone added that the cow could also count. Another said it could sing the national anthem. Someone else claimed it had been offered a job at a Nairobi television station to show its talent. Nyambane repeated all of it. The cow is extremely intelligent. When Mzee Kamau heard the final version, he laughed so hard that he nearly fell off his chair. The villagers were now having too much fun. One child told Nyambane, "Don't tell anyone, but our president knows the chief personally." Nyambane believed it. "How?" "They went to school together." Nyambane stared. "Chief Barasa went to school with the president? Isn't the president much older?" The child nodded. "Yes, but he repeated school many times." Nyambane scratched his head. "Wow, how many times?" The child shrugged. "I don't know." Nyambane nodded. "Interesting." That evening, the villagers heard Nyambane telling someone the chief and the president were classmates. The laughter could be heard from across the village. Something remarkable happened. People stopped taking Nyambane seriously. Before, when Nyambane said, "I heard something," everyone leaned closer. Now they laughed. If he said, "Don't tell anyone," someone would reply, "Is it about the chicken?" If he said, "I have reliable information," someone would ask, "Does the information speak English?" If he said, "The chief," someone would interrupt, "Can he speak chicken?" Nyambane became frustrated. One afternoon, he approached a group of women. "I have important information." They laughed. "I am serious. Tell us." "The chief is planning something." "Chicken related?" They laughed again. Nyambane walked away angrily. He went to another group. "I know something about the market." "Does the market now have a sheep that speaks French?" More laughter. Nyambane was furious. "This is not funny." Someone replied, "You taught us to laugh." He had no answer. A few weeks later, Nyambane learned something important. A young woman named Akinyi had secretly received a job offer. She had not told many people because she was waiting for the final confirmation. Nyambane overheard her discussing it with her mother. He walked away. For once, he said nothing. The next day, he approached Akinyi. "I heard you say something to your mother." She immediately looked worried. "Please, Nyambane." "What?" "Don't spread it. I don't want people to know yet." Nyambane nodded. "I won't." She looked surprised. "You won't?" "No." "Why?" Nyambane hesitated. "Because nobody believes me anymore." Akinyi smiled sadly. "That's what happens when people stop trusting you." Those words stayed with him. That evening, Nyambane sat alone beneath the neem tree. The village was quiet.
A cool breeze moved through the leaves. Children were playing nearby. A boda boda passed on the road, the driver carrying a goat on his back like a backpack. For the first time, Nyambane thought deeply about his life. He remembered all the secrets people had trusted him with. The woman's whose marriage problems he had revealed, the farmers whose business plans he had exposed, the young man's whose job application he had announced, the family dispute he had turned into village entertainment, the missing cow he had turned into a criminal investigation. He suddenly realized something painful. He had always thought people were angry because they did not like gossip, but that was not the real problem. They were angry because he had broken their trust. When someone tells you a secret, they are handing you something fragile. Nyambane had treated those fragile things like footballs. He had thrown them around until they were worthless. The next morning, Nyambane went to Chief Barasa. "Chief, yes, I need to apologize." The chief looked surprised. "For what?" "Everything." Chief Barasa sat down. Nyambane remained standing. "I have told people secrets. Yes. I have exaggerated stories. Yes. I have embarrassed people. Yes. And now nobody believes me." Chief Barasa nodded. "Do you know why?" Nyambane looked down. "Because I destroyed their trust." The chief smiled. "Now you understand." Nyambane sighed. "What can I do?" Chief Barasa thought for a moment. "Trust is like clay pot." Nyambane looked up. "Once broken, you can repair it." "Yes, but the cracks remain." Nyambane nodded. Chief Barasa continued. "Rebuilding trust will take time." "How long?" "As long as it takes." Nyambane sighed. "That's a long time." Chief Barasa smiled. "You spent years destroying it. You cannot rebuild it in one afternoon." Then he added, "The mouth can praise the meat, but the teeth are the ones that eat." Nyambane smiled. "Exactly. Words have consequences." "Yes." Chief Barasa stood. "And remember what they say in Swahili. Ulimi hauna mfupa, lakini huvunja mifupa. The tongue has no bone, yet it can break bones." Nyambane nodded slowly. "I understand." Nyambane decided he would change, but the villagers did not believe him, and who could blame him? For years he had cried wolf. So when he started keeping secrets, people assumed he was simply collecting information for later. One afternoon, Mama Wangari approached him. "Nyambane." "Yes, I have something to tell you." Nyambane became nervous. "What?" "My daughter is getting married." Nyambane smiled. "Congratulations, but please don't tell anyone." Nyambane nodded.
I won't. She walked away. 5 minutes later, 3 women approached him. "What did Mama Wangari tell you?" "Nothing." They laughed. "You're lying." "No." "Come on. I promised." They stared at him. Nyambane walked away. The next day, the entire village knew that Nyambane had kept a secret. Everyone was shocked. "He didn't tell." "No." "Really?" "Yes." "Maybe he has changed." Slowly, people began trusting him again. Not completely, but a little. Then something more serious happened. A farmer named Karanja discovered that his son had been secretly applying for jobs. The boy was embarrassed because he had failed several interviews. Karanja told Nyambane, "Please don't tell anyone. My son is already discouraged." Nyambane nodded. "I won't." And he didn't. Days passed. Weeks passed. Nobody heard the story. Eventually, the young man got a job. He personally came to Nyambane. "Thank you." "For what?" "For keeping my secret." Nyambane smiled. "It was your story to tell." The young man shook his hand. That simple gesture meant more to Nyambane than all the attention he had received during his years as the village gossip. Months passed. Nyambane continued changing. He still had everything. That part of his life did not change. People still talked around him. He still knew who was getting married, who was buying land, who had received a job, who was building a house, who was expecting visitors. But now, when someone told him something privately, he kept it private. If someone asked, "Nyambane,
Have you heard anything? He would smile. Yes. What? I can't tell you. People would laugh. You. Yes. You, the same Nyambane. Then you, Nyambane. They would shake their heads. Sometimes someone would try to tempt him. Come on, just tell me. He would shake his head. No. Not even a half the information. No. 1/4. No. Just the first letter. Not even that. Eventually, they would laugh and walk away. And slowly, something beautiful happened. People began coming to him again. Not because he was a gossip, because they trusted him. One afternoon, Chief Barasa called Nyambane. I have a secret. Nyambane smiled. What is it? The chief leaned closer. I am thinking of buying a cow. Nyambane laughed. Is it the English-speaking kind? The chief burst out laughing. No. Nyambane smiled. Then I won't tell anyone. The chief nodded. Good. But there was one problem. Mama Nadupoe had overheard the conversation. She came running. Nyambane. He turned. What? What did the chief tell you? Nyambane smiled. I can't say. Come on. No. Does it involve chickens? No. Cows? Nyambane laughed. No. Money? No. Mama Nadupoe sighed. Then what is it? Nyambane smiled. A secret? She stared at him. Then she laughed. You have finally learnt. Nyambane nodded. Yes, I have. A year after Operation Secret Gossip began, the villagers held a celebration. There was music, there was nyama choma, there were chapatis stacked like small mountains, children danced, women laughed, men argued over politics and football. Someone played music from a loudspeaker that was much too powerful for the size of the compound. Chief Barasa stood before everyone. My people, he said, today we are celebrating something unusual. The villagers became quiet. We are celebrating the man who once knew everyone's secrets. Everyone looked at Nyambane. Nyambane smiled nervously. And now, the chief continued, is the man who knows everyone's secrets, he paused, and keeps them. The villagers applauded. Nyambane stood. He looked around. For once, he did not have a clever story. He simply said, I am sorry. The village became quiet. I thought knowing people's secrets made me important. He paused. I thought telling them made me powerful. He shook his head. I was wrong. A woman in the crowd nodded. Nyambane continued. I learned that when you destroy people's trust, you may still know their secrets. He smiled. But nobody will trust you with the next one. The villagers applauded. Mzee Kamau shouted, Speak! Nyambane laughed. Please don't encourage me. Everyone laughed. Then Nyambane added, and I want to thank you all. For what? Someone shouted. For teaching me a valuable lesson. Just when everyone thought the celebration was over, Mama Nadupoe walked onto the stage. She held a small basket. Nyambane, yes? I have one last secret. The villagers immediately started laughing. Nyambane shook his head. No. Why? Because I don't want to know. Mama Nadupoe laughed. Don't worry. She opened the basket. Inside was an ordinary chicken. The villagers stared. Mama Nadupoe handed it to Nyambane. This chicken has something to tell you. Nyambane looked at the chicken, then at the villagers. Will the chief translate? Everyone burst out laughing. Nyambane smiled. I don't care anyway. Why? Because even if I hear it, I won't tell anyone. The chief laughed. Good answer. Nyambane gently placed the chicken back into the basket. Then he looked around at the villagers. You know something? What? I think this chicken knows more secrets than I do. The village erupted in laughter, and from that day forward, Nyambane was no longer known as the village gossip. He became known as Nyambane, the keeper of secrets. The nickname suited him, and although the villagers never completely forgot his old ways, they eventually learned to trust him again. Because trust, like a newly planted tree, does not become strong overnight. It needs patience, it needs care, it needs time, and most importantly, it needs someone who will stop cutting its branches. As the old Kenyan saying goes, mchagua jembe si mkulima. Choosing a hoe does not make someone a farmer. In the same way, knowing secrets does not make someone wise, and repeating secrets does not make someone important. Sometimes true wisdom is knowing when to speak. Sometimes it is knowing when to remain silent. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, "That is not my story to tell." Nyambane spent years believing that information gave him power. He thought that if he knew everyone's business, everyone would respect him. Instead, he discovered the opposite. The more secrets he revealed, the less people trusted him. And when the villagers began feeding him ridiculous stories about talking chickens, wealthy villages, English-speaking cows, and secret treasures, they were not simply trying to embarrass him.
They were showing him what happens when people stop believing your words. Soon, Nyambane could say something completely true and people would laugh. That was the punishment he had created for himself. He had turned his own mouth into a broken drum. No matter how loudly he beat it, nobody listened. The lesson was simple. Trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and a very long time to rebuild. Once people discover that you cannot keep a secret, they will stop giving you anything worth keeping. And if you make a habit of spreading people's private business, one day you may discover that nobody believes even the truth when it comes from your mouth. Because, as the residents of Ruay learned, a person who constantly cries, "I have heard something," may eventually find that nobody cares what he has heard. And that was exactly what happened to Nyambane. The man who once knew everyone's secrets eventually learned the greatest secret of all. Knowing something is not the same as having the right to tell it. And from that day forward, whenever someone whispered, "Nyambane, don't tell anyone," Nyambane would smile. He would place one finger over his lips and he would say, "Your secret is safe with me." And for the first time in his life, he meant it. My friends, if you made it to the end of this story, thank you for staying with me. If you haven't already done so, kindly hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss another interesting tale like this one. And right now, there's another amazing story waiting for you on your screen. Believe me, you don't want to miss it. See you on the next one.